Welcome back to Commit to the Bet. I'm Kate Spencer.
And I'm Patricia Babb.
Today on the pod, we have Jess Elgene, originally from Texas. Jess now lives in New York City and participates in both stand-up and improv comedy. She also just ended her run at the Fringe Festival performing her solo show, Less of a Man. Please welcome one of our favorites, Jess.
Yay!
Hey, what's up, you guys?
Yay! How are you today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I think it was your birthday yesterday. Am I
It was my
correct?
birthday yesterday.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
I know that this is how you were planning on spending the day after
Oh,
your
yeah.
birthday.
Absolutely. All I wanted for my birthday was to be a guest on podcasts more often. So it's already going great.
It feels so good to make that dream come true.
Thank you. Thank you. It was my 30th too, so it's
whoa, milestone,
big milestone birthday. Yeah.
How does it feel? How does it feel being 30?
It feels good. I feel better about being 30 than I felt about being almost 30. Yeah, I feel like, if you guys remember the It Gets Better campaign, which was made by like queer adults for queer youth, being like, it gets better. That's all of my 30-something friends when I was 29, about to turn 30. They're like, it's okay. It's going to be all right.
They're like, take my hand.
Yeah.
Take the lead. Join us.
Yeah, the build up to 30 was very spiral inducing. But now I'm like, all right, we're okay.
Yeah. Now, look at you living in your truth now. 30. Yeah. And now you can say it. I think 30 sounds better than 29.
It really does. Yeah. Because you're like the oldest 20-something or the absolute youngest 30.
I know. I'm in my now late 20s and I just don't like the way that sounds. Like I'd rather be in my early 30s than my late 20s.
Are you 27 or 26?
I'm 27.
Okay.
Petra's 28.
Yeah.
So she's...
When you turn 28, were you like, oh, I guess I'm not a genius?
Yeah. I was like,
that's how I felt because of the 27 Club. Yeah. I was like, well, I'll probably die this year because I'm brilliant. And then I didn't die, and it was like, oh,
and you're
weird.
Like, okay.
That's so weird. I was planning on that happening. Now I don't really know what to do with the rest of my life. I guess just wait until 30.
Yeah, you missed me. Yeah, what's up? Okay.
So when did you move from Texas to New York?
So I grew up in Midland, Texas, which is like George W. Bush's hometown. Friday Night Lights is like based on my hometown. They actually filmed the movie Friday Night Lights when I was a little kid, like in my hometown. They came and did like a big casting call for extras, and I went and they said no. I wanted to be like a kid in the stands. Yeah. And so I like to say that like my whole career is just my vendetta against those casting directors.
You were like, just you wait and see.
Yeah. But yeah, so I like grew up, born and raised in that town for 18 years. And then I went to Texas Christian University for acting school.
Oh, let's go Frogs.
Wait.
Let's go Frogs. Yeah, that's right.
PCU acting. Sorry, we need to talk about this for a second. Kate, it's a very big deal. Like, it was Broadway level stuff.
No,
like,
that's true.
That's pretty incredible.
The sets were crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did have some, like, we were spoiled at TCU. Yeah. So I went there, and that's in Fort Worth, which is like a lovely city in Texas. And then I took a job for 2 years, like traveling the country. I worked for a fraternity for 2 years. Yeah. So I worked for Sigma Nu
Wait,
fraternity.
how do you travel doing a fraternity work?
I was a leadership consultant for them, so I traveled the country. Yeah, giving like teaching just like all the different officers like how to do their jobs really well, but like also facilitating like anti-hazing workshops and like bystander intervention workshops. Like when you tell people you worked for a fraternity, it's like, oh, you made sure the parties were lit or whatever, and it's like, no, I actually taught them
You're like,
how
you
to,
wouldn't believe how many kegs I bought.
Yeah. No, it was actually more like teaching people how to like step in and like help mitigate bad situations and de-escalate nefarious behavior. And so yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I did that for 2 years to like save up before I actually could afford to move to New York. And so I finally moved to New York in July of 2019. So somewhat recently. And yeah, then I like did a speed run of the UCB improv curriculum, and
I'm in it right now.
Okay, yeah, I finished
doing
like
the damn thing
just in time to audition for stuff, and then COVID hit, and it was like not a thing anymore, and then the theater shut down, and so we left for a little bit while COVID was like peaking, because it just didn't feel like anything was happening in New York, and like why, you know, I think New York was probably one of the worst places to wait out the storm of COVID.
Totally. I left too.
Yeah, so my wife had been doing a show at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg in Virginia, and so we went, and she had signed like a 6-month lease there, which also was, they started rehearsals in like March of 2020, and so then she just had this lease, and I was paying like a Venmo situation like month to month in Bushwick, and so I could get out of that more easily than she could get out of her lease, and so I just took a bus and waited it out there, and then we hopped around a couple different places and got back to New York in 2021. So like
here you are.
4 or 5 years. Yeah.
This is gonna sound creepy, but I first saw you at Rat Scraps, which I think your wife is the producer, right?
She is. The first time I was the guest was before she was the booker. So I am now Nepo, but I was not always.
You're like, to be clear.
To be clear, I earned it the first time. Everything I get hereafter will be because of her, but the first time I was the guest.
Okay, right.
I did it myself. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I first saw you. It's not tied to UCB anymore, but just our little UCB connection there. I definitely go because I know UCB teachers and all of that. So anyway, that's where I first saw you, and I was like, okay.
That is so sweet.
Dibs on her being on the pod.
Oh my gosh. I was so nervous to do that. I have a sticker that they gave me literally right here. I love rats.
Promo. Plug.
I'm a big rat head. And I used to like, so ASCAT, which is back now. So now they're doing ASCAT and Rat Scraps. And ASCAT, they used to do 2 shows every Sunday. One was like a paid ticketed show, and then there was a later show that was free, and the tickets for the later show would go on sale. Like, you would just have to reserve your space. But the reservations would start at noon the day of the show. And so I would set an alarm for like 11:59 every Sunday and get my tickets really quick, because they would sell out like by 12:01. And so then to be the guest was like surreal, like very big full circle thing. Yeah.
Wow. For the listeners, sorry, who don't know, ASCAT and Rat Scraps are like UCB, Amy Poehler, and all that like contingent of comedians, just to clarify. And they have a monologist, I think that's the word, that comes and tells a story, and then the actors / improvisers perform a totally improvised set off of it, just for those listening who aren't aware. And I always am like, I cannot imagine how nerve-wracking it would be to just come up with a real-life story on the spot. I was so impressed. Or I continue to be impressed that the monologists are able to do that. Yeah,
it's so cool. And it used to be, I think, like ticket sales were tricky as like Rat Scraps was building up its brand identity, and now they like announced the guest. But with ASCAT, it had such like a reputation that they didn't need to announce the guest, and that was like kind of part of the fun, was that you wouldn't know until they literally brought them out who it was. And so it could literally be like Amy Poehler. Like the first time that I ever went, the guest was Yorma Taccone, which is from the Lonely Island.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm like in the second row, like, it was crazy. And so you never know who you're gonna get. Like the guy who wrote all the Despicable Me movies was the guest one week. Like, there's always someone cool.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you is, this is gonna sound like really heady, but when did you know you were funny?
Oh, that's so heady.
I know.
Yeah, when did I know I was funny?
Or did you always know? Or I guess, like, when did you decide to, like, monetize it? And however you want to interpret any of those questions.
I think I've known for a long time. I did, like, stand up in the 8th grade talent show.
Oh my God, that is so brave.
It's really bad. It's really, really bad. And then I start just literally reciting a stand-up comedian that I found on the internet, and it gets a little bit better. But I am plagiarizing. And
You're telling like a story that's not yours at all. That like makes no sense. That's so funny.
Like, what's the deal with? Yeah, they're like, this is Seinfeld. But
Airplane food. What about it? Yeah, literally.
they're like, I've heard this before. You're doing covers. But like, I guess I felt compelled to like get up and do stand up comedy in 8th grade. So I guess I knew by then. And I think that like it's always been like more that I wanted to have a career in entertainment, and I happen to have found like a knack for comedy because like I was definitely a very dramatic kid, like in this like small town. I just was catching up with a friend a couple days ago from my hometown about how we used to like swap poetry about like wanting to get out of this like tiny town and be in the big city.
Wow.
And now we both live in New York, which is pretty cool. But like very Tumblr coded, like intense, like sad girl vibes, uh, and so it's like I've always like tried to contain multitudes. So it's like I like was in a band in high school and stuff and college, um, and then comedy just seems to be the thing that I've like planted the best roots in, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, and I think like Friday Night Lights, like filming in my hometown, like if anything else, just like
back to that.
I think it just like opened me up to the like fact that like, oh, this is like a real career. This isn't just like a thing that happened, like, not that there was a robust film and television industry in my hometown, but at least like I was like, oh, like there are people being paid to like film stuff and like act and all of that. And so it revealed the idea that could be a real like possibility at a very early age to me. And so I guess like that's when I knew I wanted to do that. But the funny specifically, came a little bit later, but like middle school.
I really want to talk about Fringe as well, because you just came back and we just had well, we were talking about this with just guests coming on, and everyone was at Fringe. So we're like, okay, we'll just like put a pause on this until everyone gets back. I feel like the whole comedy world stops when Fringe happens. So please enlighten us on your show
like,
and everything.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, everyone was at the Fringe, and we were all competing for the same 4 people to come to our shows. Yeah, it was a really cool experience. But have you guys been to Edinburgh?
No, I have never been. I would love to go next year and see everything. We just talked to Maggie Winters, who she told us that she met you about it and how like late the shows go. I didn't realize that like how many shows there are and how late they that her slot was 11 p.m. as was yours, I believe.
Yeah, so we couldn't see each other's shows. Yeah, which was devastating. Maggie's so funny. Like I've seen her stuff online, and I've seen her do some like shorter sets, and she rolls. Yeah. But yeah, my show was at 11 every night, and it was tough. Like even just like looking at the list of all the shows was really overwhelming, because I would start to just, and I think I like I have a bit about having undiagnosed ADHD, and that tracks. But it's like a phone book, like a thick list of like every single show that's happening, and it's just impossible to like go through all of it. And there's something about like I like wanted to read every single option, and I didn't ever get through it, and so I just like highlighted some stuff but then never went back to it. So it's like, and it ends up just being like whoever reaches out and is like, hey, I'll come see your show if you come see mine, we can do a like swap of comps and all that. And so it's a thing that like requires a great deal of research if you like want to really do it right. But it was fun. Yeah, like we picked up some steam. Like our audiences were gradually getting bigger. I don't know if you guys have watched Baby Reindeer yet. Really crazy Netflix show. But he goes, and actually Baby Reindeer was born out of
Fringe, right?
The Richard Gadd, I believe is his name, and he did 2 different Fringe shows, and then this Netflix show is like a combination of the 2. And in the show, he goes and does the Fringe, and he gets like a kind of a snowball effect thing where he starts with like 1 person in the audience, and by the end of it, he's got like 20 people at every show, and it's really cool. And I had a similar experience where it's like we weren't like selling out, but we definitely the snowball, it worked in the in the positive direction. Like we had more people by the end than, instead of starting with like large audiences and then it dwindling because the show was bad. So it's a testament. The show was good. And yeah, we got some fun people to come see the show, and yeah, it was wild. It was a really fun experience. I think all the people that like, I stayed in a dorm one town over, and everyone who stayed in that dorm, we feel like we bonded so closely so quickly, like because we felt like we were like in war together. Yeah, it's a crazy experience. I had the best ramen I've ever had in Edinburgh. Maki and ramen, that's my plug.
Like, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, they have a thing called Hell Ramen, and my God, I went like 5 times. I really fixated on that.
All right. Enough of that. Let's get on to the bits.
Enough.
Yeah, let's get serious.
Let's get serious.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So I have a bit that is inspired by a friend of mine named Emily Wilson, who's another amazing comedian. You guys should get on the show.
I love her. Can I tell you a quick funny story? I can cut this.
Yeah.
When you DM someone with a creator, like with whatever it's called, like when they're certified on Instagram,
yeah,
you can only DM them once.
Oh God.
And then they have to approve it. So the send button is awfully close to the backspace button on my phone. So I did DM Emily Wilson the most heinous message because it's like, hey girl, would love if we... And that's it.
Yeah.
So she'll never know what I wanted.
And it's like, then she has to fill in the blanks, and you have no idea what her brain is going to do,
I know. And she's like, this bitch. So yeah, would love to have her on the pod, but doesn't seem in the cards for my big thumbs.
Well, yeah, if you need help, yeah, she's really cool, and she and her husband have been so nice to me every time I've ever interacted with them. They're really great, and I've done her show Tuesdays at the Red Room, which is a really fun show. You should check out if you haven't. Next time you're in town, Petra, you should go. And she has a solo show that they're taping at the end of the month. I'm
going.
Oh my God!
At the Bell House or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna try to go as well.
Oh my God! See you there.
Yeah. See you there. Yeah, she rules, and the show is awesome. It's about how she went on the X Factor, and like got pretty far into it. It's an incredible like musical comedy show. It's fantastic, but yeah, the last time I was doing her show, I noticed and she's like a very like hot, cool, girly girl, and I just like over her shoulder noticed that she was using military time, and I was like, oh, that's strange. Like I just didn't picture her as like, to be so Cadet Kelly coded. And then I wrote a bit about it. And the bit goes like this. So I recently caught a glimpse of my friend's phone and learned that she uses military time. Jarring thing to learn about a friend, right? I've been hanging out. You've been on a mission. Okay. We're making plans. I'm like, is 2 p.m. good? She's like, 1400's great. What? Sergeant Bestie reporting for brunch. I'm like, maybe we just eat the Eggs Benedict, gossip a little. She's like, I'm going to eat my ration and gather intel. How about that? I can't really dunk on the military.
Sergeant Bestie is so great.
Yeah, no, Sergeant Bestie, like, I don't know if I'm at, like, the merch period of my career just yet, but Sergeant Bestie is definitely merch.
Yeah, you know like I mean? Colonel Diva.
Yeah. I think I could sell a couple Sergeant Bestie t-shirts. Maybe I'll pop them up on Etsy or something.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And then I can't really dunk on the military. I actually seriously considered joining the military. If there's any Swifties in the crowd tonight, you may know the lyric, when you're 15 and somebody tells you they love you, you're going to believe it. Similarly, when you're 14 and a Navy recruiter tells you you've got something special, you're going to believe it, right? I'm like, yes. I think it's diagnosed ADHD. They're like, no, the heart of a warrior.
Oh my God.
For the moment in time when you were like should I do, theater, or should I take this energy to war?
I got really close to joining the military. Like, that's a 100% real bet. And it's, yeah, from someone like these Navy recruiters. They came to, I guess it was my high school. So maybe I was a
Navy
little.
recruiters, good God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I must have been a little bit older because I think I already knew like where I was going to go. So maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. I don't think I was 14 necessarily, but I was near 14. I was closer to 14 than 30. So, and yeah, it just felt crazy. And apparently they're like literally allowed to lie to you. I'm not trying to get like the military, as like this podcast's number one enemy or anything, but I've heard that recruiters are allowed to like exaggerate and lie. And
this should like be openly illegal. Like, that's bananas.
yeah. And I mean,
that's not very Sergeant Bestie of them.
Okay.
It's not Sergeant Bestie. It's Sergeant Frenemy.
So true.
Frenemy.
Sergeant Backstabber.
Yeah, very much so. And I was like, well, I want to study acting. I want to do theater. And they're like, oh yeah, like, then maybe you should just do the reserves. And then you just have to come in like once a month and like do some stuff for us or whatever. And if you have a show that month, like you won't have to worry about it. And I was like, oh, that sounds incredible. And then I told someone who like was actually in the military or something. And they were like, yeah, that's just a lie. Like, you can't.
They're like, oh, the acting wing of the Army, we put on shows.
They're like actually a lot of actors and soldiers. Like it's a lot of crossover, and you'll have a great time.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God, Leo DiCaprio is actually active duty. Yeah.
Glenn Close is actually, she's really big in the Navy.
Yeah.
People don't know that Julianne Moore is boots on the ground right now.
Yeah, they actually filmed most of La La Land in Afghanistan.
I mean, it's like a buy one get one on uniforms. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's incredible. No, yeah, it's like they faked the moon landing and the war on terror. That was all a green screen.
Yeah, that was all a big setup for, the Avengers movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, the MCU actually stands for Military Cinematic Universe. So I did not end up. I backed out last minute. And actually, my mom was pretty upset because college was expensive. So it's like, I guess she would have rather me, like, risk my life than take out a loan.
I'm sorry. Luckily, I got some nice
acting scholarships. No. I think that's the vibe. I think the vibe is to laugh.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Unless I misread the whole thing, but
this is a very serious podcast. We talk about very serious things.
It's a very serious podcast.
Yeah, Patron, please stop laughing.
Sorry.
And I love to be serious. No problem. Yeah, so that's my military time bit.
Love that.
And it's been popping off.
I cannot read military time. Like, famously, like, I mean, I can't, like, but I just have to do the math. Like, when I was in London, they schedule things in military time, like time tickets and whatever. It takes me a while. It is not, like, right off the beat. So
no, I know.
It does disturb me when I see it on someone's phone, because I'm like,
at the Fringe, I thought about, like, just cutting that joke, but, like, it's performed quite well. And also, like, a lot of my audience, even at the Fringe in Scotland, was American. And but I had to account for, like, some international audience. And so I had to, like, just rewrite it a tiny bit where I just was like, military time, you guys just call it time over here. But back in the States, it's a very specific person who uses military time, mostly people in the military. And so so I just had to, like, give a little bit of extra context, which also got kind of a little bit of a laugh. Yeah, and that was a fun thing to, like, learn on the fly in Scotland, was just like, oh, what, like, what plays in the UK, and, like, do we all have the same exact terminology? But yeah, it still played.
Yeah,
that's a great bet. That was
such
really
a good bet. Such a good
Thank
bet.
you.
Love it.
Sergeant Bestie.
We'll just start making your merch. Yeah, we'll just start doing it.
Oh, that would be incredible.
Yeah,
My street team.
We'll be boots on the ground.
Okay. And please share more bits, please.
Another bit. That's all I'm good for.
We're like, next!
Next bit, please.
Next bit. I'm like, sorry, you cut out there. And I was like, I literally was like, and I was like, maybe no bits. That's okay. We can end it here.
Hello? Is that all your bits? Yeah. No. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Actually, you know what? You mentioned my poet laureate thing, so maybe I'll just do. Yeah. I'll do my poem for you. And which also, like, for personal context on this one, and maybe this will inspire any creators out there. I filmed this bit. I've like reposted it because I also I transitioned, and so I wanted to this was really funny. I posted this bit originally when I was like quite early in my transition, and I didn't pass as well. And then I recreated it last Christmas. So I guess a couple years into my transition, and people accused me of stealing the bit. But it's no. I just look different.
You're like, plagiarism!
You're like,
yeah.
Wait, so you think literally, I'm really pretty? Okay. Thank you.
Wait. Yeah.
That is so funny.
And I think I'll just keep reposting it every Christmas. Maybe that's hack, but I get some followers from it every time. It's, as long as it's going to keep popping off. I remember hearing about this band that had a really cool riff in one of their songs, and they would just repost a video of the lead singer doing it all the time, and it gets 1 million views every single time they post it. And they're like, we don't need to keep doing new stuff. And that's the thing too, is Seinfeld's been doing the same stand-up act for 40 years or something, and bands play the same songs. It's why not do your really good stuff when you go do a stand-up set, continue writing and everything, but it's been really fun. This bit is one where occasionally when I've done it live, I will see people in the audience lip syncing, and it's oh, I'm at the intersection of comedy and rock star. These people are singing along to my bit.
They're play that banger.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's doing poet laureate. Oh my God. Yeah. Encore. Yeah. Encore vibes.
It's a mosh pit at the open mic all of a sudden.
Wait, that's fun. Yeah. So yeah, I usually wear a little beret and a little Christmas outfit, but
a beret, very Emily in Paris.
Yes, it's very that. Yeah. And I say, as the official poet laureate of the family, I've decided this year for Christmas, instead of giving physical gifts, I would give you all something a little more permanent. I wrote a poem. So here goes everything. Santa's little helper, Santa's little helper, Santa's little helper, Santa's little helper, help her. She's stuck inside the chimney, help her. She's stuck inside the chimney, 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 chin, chin. Look under the tree, it's nuclear warfare. Warfare? Warfare? War unfair. Open up that warfare. What do you see? Missile. 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 Toe. And I pop my toe a little bit. Toe. Missile. Toe. And I look up there's mistletoe above me. And then I go. And that was my first kiss. Merry Christmas.
I love the way.
Okay, first off, loved the callback to the army there. We have a through line here. We have a theme.
That's actually so true.
Oh my God.
For someone who's full blown stupid when it comes to I don't know, military stuff and global affairs, I'm writing a lot of thought-provoking stuff. It is funny. Sometimes people have commented on that and been like, wow, really, considering everything going on in the world? And I'm like, I promise this is stupid. I promise it.
They're like, that we look to you for the voice on what's going on.
Wow. Considering everything that's going on in the world. And I'm like, I promise I wasn't. I wasn't.
I
Just
wasn't
actually,
considering.
You're like, I've
literally,
never considered anything.
these are actually just words. But when I first put this on the internet, I literally I was so confident that it was going to flop so hard. And like after, an hour or two, it had like 20 likes. And I was like, okay, I'm probably going to delete this and like, be embarrassed for like the 20 people that saw it or whatever. And then it just like blew up and is like still the thing. I've heard some bands talk about like how they have a song that they just like it gets so famous that they like have to play it at every concert for the rest of their lives. And they're like, oh, I guess we have to play like Dance Dance now. Fall Out Boy. And I'm kind of like, I have other jokes or whatever. When people are like your poet thing, but it's I mean it's cool to
do
have
that
ever
thing we like. Do that thing we like.
But it's like also like it's pretty cool to ever have a thing that anyone likes at all. So like I shouldn't complain. And
I'm gonna have that memorized by tomorrow.
I know.
Please do. Like literally, it is actually the most moving thing when someone like because it hasn't been like a shitload of people, but a good handful of people have tagged me. Like someone's like mom memorized it, like this middle-aged woman doing it for the whole family, like at Christmas. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
How did you come up with it? Was it just like you were on the couch and you were like, I have a funny idea?
Yeah, this was before this was in a studio apartment that could definitely not fit a couch. So this is when I was living.
So you're leaning against the wall.
Yeah. I'm leaning against the wall. Actually, I'm leaning technically against both walls because it was that small. And
one of the walls is the fridge.
Yeah. I don't know. I just came up with it. I mean, I do like write poetry, I guess, or I haven't written serious poetry in a long time, but I used to. And so like I definitely have like that part of my brain like working a lot of the time. And yeah, it's just stream of consciousness. I think like there's some part of like my songwriter brain that like is involved. But it's it's definitely a format. Like I've seen people do stuff like this. A lot of the comments on that video when I first posted it compared it to a scene that Jonah Hill has in 21 Jump Street, like Cynthia, Jesus died for us, Cynthias. And I've definitely seen that, and I loved that movie. And so that may have had like a latent piece of inspiration. So like slam poetry is always going to be funny. Like there's something about taking yourself very seriously, making like art, like the intersection of hyper serious, like I'm making an impact in the world, and like but it's through like spoken word is inherently
comical
fodder for comedy. And so and I think it's a format that I understand, I guess, somewhat well. And yeah, I mean I think I did this is nasty, but like I should have done a better job leveraging it. And I've thought about like writing more poems for like literally every holiday, like a big like Arbor Day poem.
We're gonna need a Thanksgiving one.
Yeah, I do need a Thanksgiving one and Halloween. Yeah, I mean there's stuff. Yeah, maybe I'll get back into it. And there's something about like the creative brain that's like, once you have something and it's like I've proven that I can do this thing, now I have to prove that I can do other things, and it's like some people have one thing, and that totally. And they ride the wave for a second, So I should continue to challenge myself to keep being the poet laureate of the family.
You're so quick, though.
We're front row. We're ready to eat it up.
We are. You're so quick, and like your improv background, I feel like you could just come up with it like on the fly, like you're out with your friends, and like all of a sudden it comes to you, and you're like, everyone, I have to say something about this night, and you just go off and do it. You're just so fast. Like, I think.
Honestly, thank you. Yeah, I should do that. I should just accept it.
Yes.
There's something. I'm like kicking and screaming, being like, no, I want to be known for everything. And it's like, yeah, really to be known for anything is a huge win in and of itself. So, yeah, maybe I need to dive back in.
Well, this has been amazing.
This has been so good.
Do you want to shout anything out?
Hey, you can follow me on social media at Jess _Elgene. And if you're making a TV show or a movie, I'd be just tickled to be in it. So
tickle me, Elmo.
Tickle me, Elmo. And drop me a line. I would love to be. I would love to do that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And you're like, and also to Friday Night Lights, you could have had all this.
Yeah. Suck on it.
Yeah. And to the casting team
behind Friday Night Lights.
To the background casting team of Friday Night Lights from about 25 years ago. I know that you took something from me that I'll never get back.
Amazing. Well, we love you so much. We are so honored. Thank you so much for spending your first day, your second day as a 30-year-old with us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me. I hope I didn't seem too old.
I was like, wait, we wouldn't have had you on if you weren't 29.
I know. When you booked me, I was 29.
Fuck. All right. Well, thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Love you.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.